A little bit of the discussion when I had first got with you was some of the stuff that they wanted to turn this home into something that they could retire into. They had some cabinetry redesign that they wanted to do, and at first we were actually going to rework with some of the existing kitchen. And then as that process evolved, we sort of went back to what we had always thought was removing a lot of this and coming in with some new ideas and some new opportunities to give them a more advanced life in a home that they were enjoying.
These clients purchased this home to be a retirement home. They wanted to be all on one level. And we're looking for ways to just really improve the functionality for them and the storage. And so we were looking at options of keeping the cabinetry and improving the kitchen versus completely changing it. And obviously after some discussions with you and some budget and scope, we decided to go in that direction and finished out the design as a full redo of the kitchen.
So some of the things when people do want to, relocate and be mostly on the main floor as they, get older and into retirement was bringing the laundry up from downstairs. That's a big one that a lot of people have issues with. We don't want to be going down the stairs every day. So one of the things that we had done was reuse a bedroom and relocate the laundry room into that. So now we have a very, expansive laundry room, lots of storage. One of the really nice details of this that you had put together was a beautiful walk-in closet right off the primary bedroom. And in that walk-in closet, there's a really unique detail, which is kind of a pass-through. So a laundry chute that's more horizontal than vertical. So from the walk-in closet, they have a chute that goes right into their laundry room, which is all on the main floor. So it limits a lot of the walking, makes day-to-day use a lot easier on people, and it's really cool detail that we're definitely excited to show you guys. It's a 60s, 50s home, so a lot of load-bearing walls. One of the things that we had done was opened up this entire main floor. We got rid of a small bearing wall that was here, and then we had realized that some of the construction work that was done prior to us getting here wasn't done correctly, so we had to kind of improvise a little bit. We did end up getting in a big LVL beam, but we ran into some more stuff down in the bedroom and in the laundry, so a little bit of rework on there, and it's kind of just part of the process, and it's something that you were great with, and we were able to actually keep the design that we had gone with and really didn't cause too much of a delay. But these are some of the things that you kind of come into, especially with a home that's being reworked.
So aside from functionality, in the aesthetic side of the design, our clients are avid travelers. They love to get away, and so they really wanted to bring some of that travel experience back into their everyday living space. So they were really wanting to see like a coastal, beachy theme in here, and so lightening all of the finishes up. There was really dark floors in here before, and so we're lightening the floors. We're bringing in a lot of the coastal blues and teals in here to bring their vacations to their everyday life. They've got a lot of mementos that they've collected from travels as well, and so creating a backdrop for a lot of that collection was some of the goal in what we were doing with the aesthetics.
Some of the stuff that you had really pushed was sustainability, right? So when we talk about the natural materials, one of the beautiful things about them is they're usually able to be refinished and reused rather than disposed of. So I know we had talked a lot about the floors, and there was a lot of things that had been moved around on the project, right? So the more we remove walls and change where their locations are, we get into issues of flooring, right? So we're going to be lacing new hardwood in everywhere. So we had gone back and forth, but I think we had really pushed to keep the existing floors. And now that they're all done, we're really happy with how that had worked out. It takes a little more work in the beginning, but we kept all of this stuff out of the landfill. And at the end of it all, they have a beautiful floor that can now be refinished as, families move through this home and not just in their lifetime. So that's something that we do really like as well from Mitchell Contracting, is keeping things that are going to last. I want to talk a little bit about the millwork. So this project has a lot of cabinetry, which is being done by Oak Ridge, and they're doing an amazing job. So we're in the middle of that portion of our project now. The homeowner has extensive background in cabinetry. So how was that to navigate going through all of those details with him about the cabinetry?
Yeah, having a client that's a cabinet maker is always a little bit interesting when designing the cabinetry. Early on, we had discussions of reusing the cabinetry that they had in here and adding to it. Our client was at one point looking at being the one to construct that cabinetry and do all of that cabinetry work. But as discussions progressed, once you're in and renovating and you're making a mess, it's always that question of, do you spend like 75% of the cost and keep what's here, or go to this full 100% and reduce?
Where's that value lay, right?
Yeah, so once you're in renovating, it's not that big of a jump to just take on that entire scope. So we were able to take out and donate that kitchen kitchen that was in there that was still in good shape.
Yeah,
so
went to a
that
wonderful family. Everything came out nice.
could have a new life in another place. And instead we were able to put in a new kitchen in here that just worked much better functionally. In a tight space like some of these older bungalows, the best way to maximize your storage is through built-in cabinetry. It's the way that you're going to get the most storage and functionality in a small space. So that's why we ended up with a lot of cabinetry in this space. In this kitchen, we were able to open it up right to the living room. By opening this space right up, we were able to reconfigure the kitchen to have this big island in here. And one thing that we did too is that we did remove a formal dining room from the space. And instead we've made a large eat-in kitchen. And so we've done that with a large island that feels like a table with seating on all sides so that they can take their meals there, they can entertain around the island. And that was really the driving factor in the kitchen design.
Yeah, and those are the decisions that need to be made early on, and it comes down to asking the right questions with the clients, right? And understanding what their needs are. You know, are they going to be wanting to entertain? I know for me, like I love a formal dining room because I have a lot of family, right? So, but some people prefer the island. They want an eat-in kitchen. They don't entertain as much, and these are some of the questions that, you know, you and I would ask as we get into these things, and that really helps kind of decide on the design. Standing in the bathroom now, we had quite a small space originally when I had come in and taken a look at the project. At that point, we were sort of in a preliminary stage. I remember we had a couple of design options in here, and we ultimately went with kind of bringing this wall over. Originally, we had this wall very close to the door. You kind of walked around the vanity coming in, and the toilet was in a very narrow space. So I know it's always like sacrificing spaces in here, right? Tell me a bit about the process of designing the bathroom and laundry and sort of what drew you to this conclusion.
Yeah, this era of bungalow home is notorious for these tiny bathrooms. When you're looking at creating a home for aging in place, the bathroom is one of the trickiest places, and with a tight footprint like that, it can be very challenging. We were very limited with the window placement on these walls and what we could do with this bathroom. So we were able to push this wall out a couple feet without getting into the next window.
Which we basically bumped it out like a vanity depth, right? So now we can come in and we're not walking around things, and that allowed you to obviously get a lot more cabinetry in the space, right?
Just that 2 feet bumping into that room allowed us to use the entire width of this room for a vanity. So we could get a double vanity in there. We could increase the storage, and we could increase the door size. So we can get this to a standard size door that's going to be more functional for them in the future. And then we were able to reconfigure this shower in a way where we can have a really low threshold and have a little bit more floor space out here. And then obviously we're making accommodations for grab bars to be added down the road when needed.
100%. It's so important, right, to make those planning stages and understand where these people are going to be in the future, right? So we want to make sure we're not missing any details. And then in the space with the shower, you also spec'd a fold down bench, which is a great feature because now we can get it up and down and allow to have a chair in here. We have a nearly curbless shower option, which is awesome. And changing this really benefited the bathroom in a lot of ways. And I think that the cabinetry is a real highlight.
So we created a scheme of tiles that works throughout the home. Again, the square footage of the home is not huge, and so you don't want to break that up with too many different things going on in different spaces. So we did use one base tile that was used in multiple rooms, but we used it in different ways to give each room a little bit of different character. And so in this bathroom in particular, we used a square 18 by 18 inch tile with a little corner accent detail. So that same tile is also used in the laundry room in just a simple stack pattern. It's also used in the foyer, and in there we've turned it on a 45 with a border detail. So having one tile that's used in these different spaces creates a cohesive scheme throughout the home, but gives each room some character with a different installation detail.
So standing in the laundry room now, there's a lot of mechanical involved in bringing a laundry room upstairs. We're talking about, extra electrical requirements, venting, bath fans. We also added obviously a laundry sink in this space as well too. So we're adding to the plumbing load on the house. So there's always a bit of uncertainty when we're doing things like this. We work with great sub-trades, which we were really proud of, that they were able to make this design happen. There's always some hiccups, but luckily we were able to, save every design detail for the most part, and we kept all the rooms sort of what you had, requested. That doesn't go without challenges, but we got everything done in a timely manner, and we're really excited to show some of the details on here.
Yeah, so our clients are avid plant lovers.
Yes.
So that was a big part of this laundry room as well, is having a place where she could have some space to spread out and plant, have soil storage, and have that sink right nearby. This room does serve a couple purposes in that way. And so we did use a lot of cabinetry to provide storage for both all of those laundry functions as well as the planting functions. And we've got a big window in this space that's going to allow a lot of light. And so we've positioned the shelves in that spot particularly for that reason, just so we've got some good light for the planting purposes. But then that counter space will also double as a great place for laundry purposes, folding laundry. So we've got a laundry chute detail from the adjacent closet, and that will come straight into the pantry, which will have the laundry hamper in there.
So we're now standing in the primary bedroom. We have a lot of cabinetry in here, which is sort of the theme on the house, obviously. But so we have a beautiful gas fireplace, and then tell me a little bit about Lorraine's little makeup area and some of the cabinetry details that you expect for here.
Yeah, this space was quite a bit smaller before we opened things up. They had some standard closets against one wall, but it was important for us to get in a walk-in closet. So we removed those. This front window is now centered in the room.
Love that.
It's the prominent window on the front of the house. Gave us a lot of extra room to add some built-ins in. Fireplace was an important detail to get in here, the walk-in closet, and then the other piece was having a little makeup counter. And so we initially were looking at trying to fit that into the walk-in closet, but that space was just a little bit small to do that. So instead we created a large built-in cabinet feature across one wall where we've got a bit of an asymmetrical design with the fireplace balanced by a makeup counter. And again, it will be highlighted with a lot of lighting detail.
On top of the fireplace, we also have some millwork in here. So we have some millwork across this wall. We have some millwork in the kitchen area as well as the front foyer. So we did add quite a bit of trim detail as well. Do you think that that gives a project a little bit more depth?
Absolutely. So we've used it in a couple strategic places for some accents. So in this bedroom on the headboard wall, we did create a dramatic feature wall.
And they're all a bit different, right?
They're all a little bit different, but all economically done with just some applied trim to the wall, which is, a great economical way to add a large impact.
We also spent a lot of time and effort on the construction side of things, increasing the hallway width, which is a really nice feature, and I always hate a narrow hallway. So I think we only went about 6 or 8 inches, but it made a monumental impact when you're coming down that hallway that you have enough room.
It would have been so much easier to keep the wall where it was, but it's just so important if you're aging in place to make sure you have those clearances.
Especially going around a corner, right?
We did use larger doors into a lot of these bedrooms, and we wanted to make sure that that hallway space was enough to accommodate a walker or any other type of equipment that may come in and out of the bedroom.
Yeah, you don't know what the future's gonna hold, right? So obviously you need to plan for those things, and when it comes to the requirements that they had for the home, that's something that, both of us would consider for sure. When we opened this up, which at one point we were thinking we may not have to, but as the project expanded and our expectations for the finishes expanded, we decided to open a lot of this up. And since we were going to be moving this bedroom and making it larger, we had some challenges. So we ended up redoing the ceiling joists in this space. And also when we did open up the walls, we found a lot of water damage over here, which led us to investigate that we had, hydrostack, the pipe penetration was leaking, which had been doing it between the brick and the outside wall, so it never actually made its way inside. But what they did have was mold, mildew, and damage, and that's something that obviously we would never overlook, and we're so grateful we did open it up to be able to get rid of those issues. And I mean, from a building point, we don't like it, and from a health and safety issue as well. I mean, nobody wants, mold and spores.
It's so important that your bedroom be your healthiest space in the home. You spend a third of your life in your bedroom, and when you're sleeping, that's the time that your body does all of its recovery work. And so it's important, especially in the bedroom, to really minimize all the toxins that you might find in there.
Right?
And so finding mold in the wall in the bedroom is obviously very concerning. So
that's an important detail that we'd love to get rid of.
Very glad we were able to deal with that properly and remove it all, and to make sure that this is a safe and healthy space for them.
Looking at where we're at in the project, so we're moving through cabinetry now. Oak Ridge is here, they're going to be finishing up. This will be their phase 3 project. So this is the last bit of cabinetry to go in. And then once the counters go in, we have kind of the fun stuff, the stuff that we really enjoy doing. We're gonna be moving into millwork and tile installation. So we're moving along really well, and we're looking forward to showing you a little bit more detail.